What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host, and welcome to episode 96 and to the long overdue, highly anticipated Lakers All-Star Break Report. My last Lakers episode was the mid-season report from last year. And look at all that has transpired since that episode. I mean, when we last left off with the Lakers, they still had Russell Westbrook at the 41 game mark last year when I gave you my last Lakers episode. And the Lakers had been stuck in neutral and going nowhere pretty fast with Russ. And the last episode prior to that one, I had preached a Lakers eulogy because of the level of poor, contemptible basketball coming out of Staples, or what is now known as the Crypt. And I just decided I wasn't going to cover the Lakers as long as they were playing that level of low-quality basketball. And so, from the eulogy to last year's mid-season report, it was pretty much the same status quo, business as usual, spinning in circles, going nowhere fast. But then, very shortly after my last Lakers episode, Rob Pelinka went to work at the trade deadline. He completely reshuffled the deck. He completely reconstructed the roster. And, wouldn't you know it, that reconstructed Lakers team, minus Russ, now with D'Lo. And, in all fairness, I've never really been a big D'Lo fan, and that goes back to the whole mess with Swaggy P, you remember. But that team, minus Russ, addition by subtraction, and with the defensive prowess of Vanderbilt, and with Rui coming on board, I mean, the team took off, and from that sort of middling, meandering place they went on to, who would have believed it? They went on to an appearance in the Western Conference Finals. How about it? Now, they got swept. Denver, put the brooms to them. But they went from that place. I mean, they had a pretty poor record at the All-Star break last year. They went from that to the Western Conference Finals and playing some pretty interesting basketball along the way, and knocking off Memphis and knocking off Golden State. So it's been a revival, a renaissance, a rebirth with the Lakers, minus Russ. And so, here we are now. It is the All-Star break of the 2023-24 season, February 2024. And, let me give you just a little bit of background, okay? Now, I go way back with the Lakers, all right? I saw Magic Johnson dishing dimes on the hardwood at the Forum in Inglewood, okay? I go back that far, all right? I saw Kobe, you know, respect to Kobe the Mamba. I saw Kobe drop 50 on my birthday at Staples against the Suns in the playoffs. I was there. I go way back with the team. And so you can imagine now my dismay, disappointment, frustration when the team went into a tailspin. And really you could connect those dots to the passing of Dr. Buss. The team floundered, and they brought on Mike D'Antoni, who ran Kobe into the ground, and that Achilles popped, and that was essentially the last of the golden era of Kobe. And the team just went into a deep tailspin, and for about 6 years, the Lakers were the worst team in the NBA. At the very end of Kobe's career, and then in those years after he retired, just awful. In fact, I don't remember a time when the Lakers as a franchise were that bad, that long, but they weren't 500 or middle of the pack or floundering in mediocrity. They were at the bottom of the league, like the abject worst. And that was over a period of 5 or 6 years. It was gloom and doom. And then, the sun parted the clouds and the light shone down from the heavens. And who was it? The king. It was the king. LeBron, LBJ, made the decision to become a Laker in free agency. And I remember where I was, my folks. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was on a shuttle bus going to the Hollywood Bowl, and I was in the middle of some other conversation, and I heard a random conversation. A guy says, "Oh, look, LeBron James just signed with the Lakers." And I immediately turned to him and said, "You lying." That's a true story. And he said, no, it's right here. And then my next word was yes. Because I knew the king was coming to LA. And I knew with the king comes goatness. What do I mean by that? Well, I've done an episode on goatness. Essentially, it just means that LeBron James had this metronome effect of consistently having his teams show up in the finals. Point being, you could count on whatever team LeBron James was on, they were going to be in the finals. Now, they may not win it. And that's where a lot of people try to hold Jordan over LeBron, because they say Jordan was 6-0. He won each time. But the thing is, though, 6-0 means you only got there 6 times. Jordan lost a lot of playoff games before he got a team to the finals. And so they don't hold those losses against air. And if you really want to get down to it, sure, air has the most elegant game, the most graceful and yet spectacular game at the same time. At once graceful and spectacularly explosive air. But the king, LeBron, well, he has some very impressive characteristics as well. For example, he has taken the best care of himself of any athlete we've seen in the NBA record books. And now in season 21, to still be averaging, what is he averaging? 25, 7, and 8 or something like that. Just like always, I mean, sure, a tick or two down from golden era LeBron. And I grant you, he cannot himself carry a team to the finals any longer. He's got to have help. He's mortal. And yet, to still, at this stage of his career, to be able to put up 25, 8, and 7, or whatever it is, you've got to give him credit. That's GOATness. And yes, the Lakers with LeBron are a threat to run through the playoffs into the finals on any given season. With the proper support and avoiding the big injuries, which I want to just digress here to say as well that I've always wanted to see LeBron play, you understand? And I finally got my opportunity. But it was over a stretch of 2 or 3 years. It took 2 or 3 seasons before it all worked out. Well, the first year he came to LA, I was intending to go to see a game, a Laker game at some point a little after the All-Star break. And when you know it, on Christmas Day, I'll never forget that day either. Christmas Day 2018, his first year, the Kings' first season with LA, slips on that wet spot and tears that groin, and LeBron had the Lakers in first place and whooping Golden State, and then after that injury, all was derailed, and LeBron didn't really come back, or if he did, it was at a diminished capacity. And so that derailed my plan to go see the King play in the 2018-2019 season. And then the 2019-2020 season, well, wouldn't you know, global pandemic. And again, you see, I had decided I would wait until the spring after the All-Star break to go see the King play. You see the error of my judgment here now. And so before we could get to that point, 2020, the world is shut down. In fact, just as markers, on a Saturday night in January 2020, LeBron passed Kobe Bryant for third place on the all-time scoring list, dropping Kobe to fourth. And Kobe congratulated Bron, and the very next day, Kobe was tragically killed in that helicopter crash. The very next day. And then the world shut down just a few weeks later. And once again, my plans were derailed. And so then you fast forward, and now Russ is here, and they're awful, and I preached a eulogy, and I don't want to go to see mess. And then I got back to my way of thinking, which was, this very well may be the greatest basketball player in history. LeBron, the King, LBJ. And I said, he is leading my Laker team. I've got to go see the King in purple and gold. I've got to do it now. And so once again, I decided I am going to see the King. And so soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. I just had a little gospel flashback to that. I said, the King is a Laker, and the King is about to surpass the captain Kareem as the greatest scorer in NBA history in purple and gold. I've got to see it. And so I started planning for it, and I tried to figure it out, my folks. When would be the game? Trying to gauge it. And so I narrowed it down to a couple of games, and I took a chance. And I bought great seats because I had it narrowed down to either the OKC game or the Minnesota game. I bought the tickets a ways out, and I just tried to do the math and figure it out and take into account if there were any more injuries. Well, I bought Minnesota. And LeBron broke the record against OKC, the other game, the first game of the two. I picked the wrong game. So not only did I not go to a game I had the ticket in my cart for, the OKC game at the crib that LeBron would ultimately end up breaking Kareem's record, I had that seat in my cart, and I opted to go for the second game. The other alternative, which was Minnesota Timberwolves, which was a couple weeks later or so. I picked the wrong game, and well, not only did I miss the game that he broke the record, the historic game, but then my game, the Minnesota game, well, I don't know, a week or so prior, the King had broken Kareem's record and was already having some injury issues leading up to it. And so once he'd broken the record, that was it. So my game, the Minnesota game, LeBron was in street clothes. Missed again. But I didn't give up. I said, no, I've got to see the King play. It's imperative to me. I said, I'm going to try it again, but this time I said, I will go early in the season. No more waiting until the trade deadline and the All-Star break and after Christmas and all of that. No, I've got to go early in the season while he's still playing. And I mean, wouldn't you know it, he's played virtually every game this year. But they do have the new sort of incentives in place now. If you miss games, like Embiid or whatever, you cannot win MVP awards and those kinds of things. But I decided I'm going early in the 23-24 season. I've got to see the King play. And coming off that appearance in the Western Conference Finals, I had high hopes for not only watching LeBron, but that the team would actually be competitive. And so I had a couple options in my cart once again. One was an in-season tournament game against Memphis Grizzlies, and the other was, well, it was a regular season game against Sacramento. And I didn't really know what to expect with this whole in-season tournament, my folks, to be perfectly honest with you. And so I said, I'll go to the Sacramento Kings game. So I chose that one. Now, as it turned out, the game that I didn't choose, the other option, well, the Lakers won by 30 points, that in-season tournament game. And my game, of course, well, that game I'll remember. Well, always will remember it. It was noteworthy for a number of reasons. For one, it was the last game with the Anthony Davis afro. He retired it, and rightly so, after that game. AD looked bad. He did not look engaged or focused or prepared. He just looked out of it. But that game also was noteworthy, beside the fact that, again, the Lakers lost, as they did at the Minnesota game, which LeBron didn't play. But that game, this last game I went to, well, the Sacramento game was also noteworthy because I finally got to see the King play. I got to see LeBron play. And I'll tell you what, it was a magnificent performance. LeBron was the only Laker who came to play. It was a rainy night in LA. And the team played, the Lakers did. They played sluggish. They played like a rainy night. Not Sacramento. They were charged up, flying and running and shooting. But the Lakers, only the King, LeBron James. Well, he gave me what I had been hoping to see all along. He gave me a vintage LeBron performance. LeBron had a triple-double that night in a losing effort, 28, 10, and 12. The King in his 21st season, and he was magnificent, and he was the only one. So I got what I was hoping to get, but I was still disappointed at the outcome. And at the play of Anthony Davis, I was just shaking my head. And as you know, my folks, I've called Anthony Davis the Rubber Band Man Robin. Why? Well, because as the joke went, if LeBron was Batman, AD, let's go. It's time to take on the Kings. Anthony Davis was the Rubber Band Man Robin. I'm right with you, Batman. It's just, I feel a twinge in my calf. AD, tonight it's the Memphis Grizzlies. I need you. I'm right there for you, Batman. It's just that my wrist is giving me spasms. Rubber Band Man Robin. And he was a bumbling, fumbling fool that night that I went to see the Lakers play. But that was the last night of the AD Afro, and I'll tell you something else. It was the last night I've seen him play like that. I don't know what happened. Maybe LeBron gave him a little bit of the Draymond action like he did Rudy back there. Like, come on, Robin, I need you to... I don't know. But whatever it is, I feel that the time is now appropriate to give the Rubber Band Man Robin a new nickname. Now, Anthony Davis, no longer the Rubber Band Man Robin. Now he is AD3. AD3, because he's playing like a new man. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think the biggest difference is that he just decided, I'm not going to succumb to these nagging, somewhat minor injuries anymore. No more. The thumb and the wrist and the calf and the toe ache and all of these little things. Something in the shoulder blade. I think he finally said, hey man, they're paying me a lot of money. Bron needs me. I'm playing through it. And once he turned that corner mentally, everything else just clicked. And now, you know what? I think now it's not really an issue anymore. Because remember before, every time he would fall or every time he had contact or every time he slipped, you thought, oh, that's it, the season, he's done. Now, it's getting to the point where I don't really think about it. It's like with anyone else. They fall down, they get up, they continue. AD3, he continues now. He's playing through it, and he's playing well. He's playing like a one. And when you combine that with LBJ the King, you got something there, which is why it was so vexing that for AD to be playing essentially every game and for LeBron to be still performing at such a high level in season 21, and yet the team still floundered. still wallowed around 500. Why? What is wrong? And this is where the in-season tournament actually becomes very illuminating. Because as I said, I didn't know what to expect. And now that I've seen it, okay, my impressions, gimmicky, yes. Yes, it's gimmicky. And should every game have the same value in the regular season? To me, I think it should. And what the in-season tournament has done has given priority over some regular season games for others. So what you saw with the Lakers was they play undefeated in the in-season tournament games and lose willy-nilly every which way in the non-IST games. And so what's instructive about it is, well, you see the Lakers do have the ability to rise up. Huh? Okay, they have a switch that they can flip. Now, the thing is, you can get to a place where you flip it and there's nothing there, and now you're exposed. So there's that danger that's always lurking. And if you play a good enough team, you're gonna be exposed. But what that tells me, that in-season tournament championship, is that the Lakers do have another gear. And I trust the Lakers in the postseason playoffs. And so, despite the fact that the Lakers hovered around 500 most of the year, they finally, just before the All-Star break, started to take off, elevate. They won 6 of their last 7 going into the All-Star break. And the only one they lost, well, that was to Denver. So since the calendar flipped to February 1, the Lakers have won 6 of 7 games, with the exception being the team that swept them. And in fact, Denver has now beaten the Lakers 7 consecutive games. I believe it is, including that 4-game playoff sweep. And so the Lakers have not beaten Denver this season. And they do get another crack at Denver coming up very shortly after the All-Star break. So that will be interesting, of course. And so last year at the All-Star break, the Lakers were 27-32. And that was before Pelinka went in and tinkered and rebuilt that engine. And the Lakers would then wind up in the Western Conference Finals. Well, this year at the All-Star break, the Lakers were 30-26. And now with only 26 games left in the regular season, let's get right to the breakdown. At the All-Star break, Anthony Davis, 83, is leading the team in points per game at 24.9, and just under 25 a game. Bron's just behind him. Bron's at 24.8. So he's right there. And essentially, they both are averaging 25 points per game. But AD3 also leads the team in rebounds at 12.2 a game. LeBron leads the team in assists at 7.8, nearly 8 assists per game. And so you see, there it is, that dynamic duo. AD3 has played 52 games. 52 games out of 56 played for AD3. That's remarkable. That's a remarkable turnaround and well needed. And so I love that, to see AD3 playing through things and really leading the team. And then on the defensive end, he's a beast down there. You know, not just blocking shots, but altering shots. So I'm happy with what I'm getting from AD3. And then the King, I'm very happy in his 21st season and be getting what we're getting from the King. He has played in 49 games of 56 possible, and he's averaging 35 minutes a game. 24.8 points a game, as I mentioned. He's averaging 7.2 rebounds per game and leading the team in assists at just under 8 per game. And so that's your dynamic duo. All right? Now, the question is the supporting cast. Well, who is the number 3? That's a big question. Who is the number 3 guy on the team? Because what the fans and the media and maybe even the Lakers front office wanted you to believe was that it was going to be Austin Reaves. And now I've gone back and forth with Austin Reaves from thinking, oh, we've got a revelation, to thinking, oh, this guy's way overrated, to thinking he's solid as can be, but he's a 4. And I think that's probably ultimately what it is. He's solid as can be, but he's probably a 4, which means who is your 3? If AD is your lead dog and Bron is right there second in command or vice versa, who is 3rd on the team? And well, from the numbers, when you dig in the numbers, it appears to be D'Lo. So that's somewhat concerning because D'Lo seems to run hot and cold. Now, admittedly, with all that trade talk and all of that sort of energy that bubbled up, it seems like he played very well through that. So what I want from D'Lo is to keep that trajectory. Don't slip back into that neutral mode, into that hot and cold mode. Bring it on the regular. They kept you on the team because this year, unlike last, the Lakers remained out of the trade market. But they did get a very, very interesting and promising pickup. Spencer Dinwiddie is now a Laker, and I'm happy to see it. Very pleased to see it. In fact, I was hoping that would come about, and it did. And so Spencer Dinwiddie gives you some great lift off the bench. And I assume he'll be coming off the bench, but he can score and he can do a number of things for you. So he's just getting there. He's got to get acclimated, give him some time. But I like that pickup. And then after D'Lo, and you have Dinwiddie, and of course you have Austin Reaves. Now you add in Hachimura. Okay? Rui. And I feel like you got a strong situation brewing now. Okay? And then on top of that, I like the Lakers' young bigs. I like Wood. Okay? I like Hayes a lot. All right? And I like Cam Reddish. Okay? And you need that youth and energy and size. They give you all that. Now, where the Lakers have been lacking, as we know, is shooting. You know, the long-range shooting has left a lot to be desired. And that is sort of like a recipe, a formula that when you've got LeBron, you surround him with shooters. And for whatever reason, the Lakers have been unable to do that. And even guys who are purported to be shooters, they come to the Lakers and for whatever reason, they lose the touch. So I hope that Spencer Dinwiddie can help fill that bill to a large extent. And I hope that Taurean Prince, who honestly, I have to be honest with you, I am not 100% sold on. I questioned all year long. He did so much starting for the Lakers. Taurean Prince, 53 games played, he started 48 of them. That's probably too many, Pastor Pike. Oh. I've just slipped and revealed my nickname for the coach of the Lakers. Now listen. I haven't mentioned much about head coach Darvin Ham, coach of the Lakers. And in part, that's because I haven't really been sure what to make of him. Like with the Lakers, there's the yin and the yang. With Coach Ham, I do believe he is a good person at heart. And I do believe that he motivates his troops. Where I feel concern with Coach Ham, well, he seems at times to sort of fade. And then I get glimpses of him on the sideline, and he's standing there, and he has both his hands shoved way down deep into his pockets, my folks. And he seems to just be lurking and looking with his hands buried in his pocket. And I see him there, and I go, that is an unusual posture for a head coach in the NBA. I don't know if I've ever seen, and he's almost frozen there. What is he thinking, I wonder? And I understand that he's a deeply religious individual, and I can see it, and so it just popped in my head one day that Coach Ham, that is Pastor Pockets. I mean, most pastors, they're concerned with pockets, and, well, the coach of the Lakers keeps his hands buried in them, so, Pastor Pockets, I call him. I'm not married to it, but I wonder, what is Pastor Pockets up to? What is he thinking? And, well, he's had a lot of starting lineups. He's spent too much time on the one that included Taurean Prince, I think. But even now, that has altered. He's got him coming from the bench. I think that's a better move. I like Max Christie. I like Vanderbilt quite a bit, as I mentioned before. And so, well, I suspect that the Lakers can make a deep run in the upcoming playoffs in the spring of 2024. Playoffs! And in fact, I'm going to make a prediction right here. You know I am. Boston is the number one team at the All-Star break in the East. The Lakers are number 9, I believe, in the West. I predict that the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics will meet the 2024 NBA Finals. And I predict that in this Battle of the Titans, the NBA Classic Heavyweights, both teams tied 17 championships per franchise. And I predict that the LA Lakers will get 18, and they will get it on the heads of them hated Celtics in 2024. Book it. Book it. Well, it sure would be fun anyway. And so, to bring it home, I believe that AD is no longer a rubber band man Robin. And although Reeves may be slightly overvalued, he is a quality player. And the king is still the king. And I like the assortment of pieces, and I'm hopeful that D'Lo can continue on the trajectory he's on. And I hope that Pastor Pockets can dig down deep into those pockets and bring out something other than lint, but bring out strategies to win. And so I'm hopeful that the Lakers can go deep and bring home 18 this season. Oh, wouldn't it be glorious? And so, as LeBron said, the Lakers are capable of beating anybody in the NBA, but then they are capable of losing to anybody in the NBA. And that's a focus issue and perhaps a coaching issue. And when I think of coaching issues, I just can't help but think about how the Lakers could have hired Ty Lue and all of this nonsense would have been avoided, but they fumbled and bungled it. And now Ty Lue is there with the Clips, and look at all of the dust they're kicking up. And so after sputtering most of the season, win 2, lose 3, win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 4, win 3, lose 4, I have to at least take heart in that these last 7 games, with the exception of that Denver game, the Lakers have looked like they are about some business now. And so I hope that the All-Star break doesn't interrupt that flow. And we'll soon see, because as I say, Golden State's coming right out of the break. First game back for the Lakers. And speaking of Golden State, I just have to make reference to that double overtime Laker win versus Golden State. Oh, what a game. Oh, what a game. That was epic. I don't know if I've seen a better game in recent memory. And then I want to draw attention also to Houston. Houston, why Houston? Well, a very strange, interesting situation down there in Houston. Now, the Lakers have already played Houston 4 times. They're done with them unless somehow they meet in the playoffs. But they split with Houston 2-2. And what's interesting about Houston to me is that it seems like you've got a couple of self-proclaimed LeBron James adversaries, should I call them haters, down in Houston? Well, you got Dylan the Villain Brooks, so we already know he clubs the king every chance he gets. Remember last year in the playoffs, he clubbed him in the nuts? This year, he clubs him over the back of the head and knocks him to the court. He seems, it appears, that he takes physical shots at the king. And I want to make this point that the Lakers need somebody, because AD3 is not that one. But the Lakers need somebody who can kind of cover the king's back against the goons in the NBA like Villain Brooks. Because when Villain Kung Fu chopped the king and knocked him to the floor, nobody came to his defense. And see, Pat Bev isn't the greatest player in the NBA, but Pat Bev, he doesn't allow for that kind of thing. He's going to stand up for his guys. I don't even want to talk about Draymond. You saw Villain. Villain pushed Vando in the back on a dunker tip. And Vando went down to the court and was down on the ground writhing in pain, and nobody stepped to the Villain. And when Vando got up and got his wits about him, he walked over and pushed, he said something to the Villain and kind of pushed him in the back, and, he got a tech and got thrown out the game for it. But Pastor Pocket said, I'm glad to see that Vando stood up for himself. Because I thought Pastor Pockets was going to say something like, the golden rule, treat others as you wish to. But no. He said, I'm glad to see that Vando stood up for himself. But I'm thinking, how come nobody else is standing up for each other? Why didn't anyone stand up for Vando while he was on the court writhing in pain? Why did no one stand up for the king when he was lying on the court, rolling around with his seeing stars because the villain had clubbed him on the back of the head? And which brings me to my bigger point. The coach of the Rockets is who? Ustroka. Ime Ustroka is the coach of the Rockets. And it seems to me that Ime has some type of problem with the king. Did you see that exchange they had? Ustroka, now remember, Ime, the coach, the head coach of the Rockets, he told LeBron, first of all, he called out to the Lakers, stop crying like bitches. This is what the coach of the Rockets said, and LeBron said, hey, don't be throwing that word around loosely. And what did Ime Ustroka say? He said, what you coming over here for? Like you gonna do some soft-ass boy? That's what Ime said to the king. Where is your respect, Ustroka? You know why I call him that? Because he was running through all of the wives at the Boston Celtics front office, stroking like Clarence Carter, stroking, Ustroka. They ran him out of there. Get out of here, Ustroka. You're running through the entire executive office, the wives and the employees alike. Ustroka was hitting the executive vice president's wife. They said, you got to get out of here, Ustroka. They fired him. He ends up in Houston. Is he chastened? Has he learned anything? Is he remorseful? Well, I don't know, but what I do know is he has no respect for the king. This is the most prolific scorer in NBA history. This is a legend. This is surefire first ballot, no doubt about it, Hall of Fame. This possibly is the greatest of all time, and you call him a soft-ass boy? Oh, your disrespect. It stinks. The smell of your disrespect precedes you in the room. It's foul, hater. Why? Show some respect, Ustroka. But see, disrespect seems to be your calling card. So Ustroka is probably coaching them to rough up Bron and them. Calling them bitches and quit crying and soft-ass boy to the king, a grown man. Oh, Ustroka, something wrong. Stink. But I digress. I mean, Ustroka ain't right. Something wrong. Stink. You got Nia Long as your woman. You wasn't satisfied, Ustroka. Now, you mocking and disrespecting the king. It's appalling. LBJ is a family man. No scandals, Ustroka. LBJ, he opened schools for kids. Ustroka, you call him a boy? All that he has done? So I guess Villain Brooks is Ustroka's proxy. He's his avatar to club the king over the head. Ustroka, the corporate ass broker. Whew. And then finally, I'll just make reference of a recent story that appeared. The Golden State Warriors made a play for LeBron. They tried to get him. They tried to take him from the Lakers and pair him up with Steph in the Bay. What? And LeBron said, nah, I'm good. That's the king. The king is staying in LA. He wants to retire a Laker as he should. So, get out of here, Golden State. keep it moving. And so as we sit right now, the Lakers are number 9 at 30-26, number 9. So they're in that play-in scenario just above the aforementioned Warriors, who sit at 10. And the surprising Timberwolves sit at 1, and the Thunder sit at 2. And then there are the Clips sitting at 3. And isn't Zubac playing well? I still don't understand why the Lakers gave away Zubac. And then there is the Denver Nuggets, the Joker and Malone in that outfit. And then after the Nuggets at 4, the Suns and the Pellies are tied 33-22, both at 5 and 6, and then the Mavs right behind them at 7, the Kings at 8, and the Lakers sit a couple games back of the Kings at 9. And then, as I mentioned, in the East, the Celtics sit at 1 and the Magic at 8, and in between it's the surprising Cavaliers. Milwaukee, what are they doing there with Doc and the coach firing and the issues with Giannis? And then the Tricks, the surprising New York Tricks, are sitting at number 4. The Sixers, they got problems with Embiid's health at 5. And then Pacers, who Lakers ousted in the IST, are at 6. And the Miami Heat at 7. And so there you have it, my folks. There it is, an extensive Lakers season report, All-Star break edition. And so what I'm going to ask now of you, what I need for you to do, is throw me one of these, all right? Throw me one. Please like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to leave me a comment should you be so inclined, and then stay on the lookout for upcoming content. And so, until the next time, which won't be too long from this time, Scotty says, one love. Go Lakers.